tomato plant that I planted right here in the corner of my garden is doing really well. It has lots and lots of flowers on it, which I'm excited because it's a cherry tomato, and we'll keep going, keep producing the whole season, so that the fact that there's flowers now is very, very exciting for me. My peas are doing really, really great. I'm still working on training them up on the trellis. So this is the zucchini that I showed you, planting it at the bottom of a hole where the entire trowel fit in. It is growing up and out of the hole. It is getting plenty of sunshine, and I'm excited for lots of zucchinis on that. There's a variety of interesting kinds of lettuce here, and I'm very excited to see what they taste like. It's doing really good, and I'm very happy. This is the Nero di Toscana leaf cabbage that I planted. I just scattered the seeds here and covered them with some mulch. The carrots that I planted recently are coming up pretty well. You can see the little carrot tops in this bed here. They are coming up unevenly, I think because of how I scattered the seeds, but they're coming up, which is good. That makes me happy. Any green in my garden makes me happy. I'm cutting the weeds off instead of pulling them out to try and help to not disturb the soil too much. In this little area here, I planted chard, both Fullsbrook Giant and Rainbow Chard, and so far I'm not seeing any of it come up. I'm hopeful that it'll still come up. We had a couple good days of rain, and then now it is very hot and sunny, so hopefully they will germinate and be happy, but so far I haven't seen much out of this area right here. These are the potatoes that I planted several months ago. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plants out of 10 tubers coming up, more coming up every day. So I think that they were successful, but they didn't like being under the tunnel to come up. On the 1 foot square around the edge of the garden, on Mother's Day I planted a whole bunch of seeds. And so far, the sunflower seeds are coming up really nicely all around the garden. I don't see evidence of some of the other seeds that I planted, but sunflowers. Sunflowers are a great start to make my garden more beautiful and attract pollinators and have something to feed the chickens. Right in front of the rabbits here we have the garlic that I planted last fall. Plant garlic in the fall here. And this is music garlic. It is clearly the biggest of all of the garlics that I have. Looks like it's very happy and very healthy. And then behind the garlic I have some of my comfrey that's coming up very nicely there. The comfrey is great for attracting insects and for pulling. It produces lots of takes lots of nutrients out of the earth, and I can use them to feed the other plants in the garden. They also, I'm hoping, will provide shade for the rabbits so they don't get too hot this summer. Several of the things in this herb garden are from previous years, like the oregano and the thyme and the chives. And I've planted a lot of new stuff here this year, for both this year and later. I have some strawberries, some sage, some basil. I have winter savory, more chives, because we always need more chives everywhere. And then over here, oh, lemon thyme. I love the smell of lemon thyme. So good. Next to my probably most successful honeyberry, I have planted another sage plant, and they look like they are thriving. This is what happens when you let your asparagus go after harvesting for a couple weeks. I might have been able to harvest a little bit longer, but I chose not to. You can see that it's not evenly distributed throughout the whole garden bed. So what I did this year is I started some asparaguses from seed, and I have them planted in the ground here, and I'm hoping that next year my asparagus garden will be so much thicker and bigger and better than it was this year. This is our plum tree. It is 7 years old. And last year it wasn't looking very good. You can see all these dead branches from where it was nibbled off or just died back. But all of this is new growth. So it has 18 inches of new growth all over it, everywhere. So I think that it is very happy this year. My next thing is I'm going to chop down this comfrey that's right next to it. And I'm just going to lay this comfrey around the edge of this pear, this plum. Sorry, this is a plum. And that will just decompose into the soil. And it will make the soil around this tree healthier and happier. And will be better for it. And the comfrey will come back at least a couple more times this summer. So we harvested from our rhubarb last week. We made a wonderful rhubarb and dried strawberry custard. And now it is starting to come back. There's more leaves coming up through here. I probably won't do another big harvest this year because I want to make sure it's strong, but if I end up with lots and lots of it, I might give it another go this year. This apple tree, I think, has been here for 7 years, and it did not survive this most recent winter. I watered it this spring, but I don't see any signs of life on it at all. And that's the hard thing about being up here, because I can have a tree last for that long and still just die over the winter. And I'm not sure why it would die when everything else that we had planted survived. This is one of the honeyberries that we planted this year. I think that 3 of them have survived, which was good because they do need to cross-pollinate. And they have grown a lot this year. I'm hopeful they'll just keep growing very, very tall, and next year maybe we'll get some honeyberries off of them. This is one of the gooseberries that we planted this year. It already has a lot of new growth on it. I'm very excited. I planted an Egyptian walking onion right next to that, so hopefully that'll start spreading here in the next year or 2. I planted some thyme from my milk jug greenhouse right in front of it, and it is surrounded by strawberries. There's so much variety in this area right here, and I'm excited to think about how it'll look in future years and how productive this area will be with onions, herbs, berries of all different varieties coming right out of the ground in my house, even though it is high and dry up here on my homestead. This is our 7-year-old gooseberry. We planted this when we moved into the house. It is very big, very happy. It has tons of new growth on it this year. And the boys have been eating berries off of it, even though I think they're far too crunchy to be eaten. But if every berry that comes out of our garden goes into somebody's mouth, that is a success.